Welcome to my YouTube channel Revenge Chronicles. I was halfway through adjusting my tie when my phone buzzed. My daughter Beatrice, 8 years old, had sent me a text that was unusual. She knew I was literally 3 rooms away getting ready for her piano recital. I opened it. Dad, can you help me with my dress zipper? Come to my room, just you close the door. Something in those words made my stomach drop. Phrasing was too careful, too specific. I knocked on her door twice before entering, my heart already racing. Hey, kiddo, your mom's better with zippers than I am. Should I grab her? Beatrice was standing by her window, still in her jeans and t-shirt, no dress. Her face was pale and she was gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles had gone white. I lied about the zipper, she whispered. Dad, I need you to check something, but you have to promise not to freak out. Not here, not now. My hands went cold. What's going on? She turned around slowly and lifted the back of her shirt. My vision tunneled. Purple bruises, some yellow at the edges, others fresh and dark, covered her lower back and ribs in a pattern I recognized instantly. Handprints. Someone had grabbed her hard multiple times. I forced my face to stay calm, even though every cell in my body was screaming. How long? 3 months since February. Her voice cracked. Dad, it's Archie Alfie. When we visit him and Grandma on Saturdays while you're at your shift, he says it's discipline because I don't sit still enough during dinner. Grandma tells me if I behaved better, he wouldn't have to correct me. Mom knows. I told her last month. She said I must be exaggerating, that Grandpa is just old-fashioned and I'm too sensitive. The piano recital, right? I checked my watch. 5:15. We were supposed to leave at 5:30 to meet my wife's parents at the school auditorium. My wife Claire was downstairs making a cheese plate to bring. My in-laws were probably already on their way. I crouched down to Beatrice's eye level. I need you to trust me right now. Can you do that? She nodded, tears spilling over. We're not going to the recital. We're leaving, just you and me. I'm going to handle this, but I need you safe first. But Mom will be so mad. She's been planning this for weeks and I practice so hard. Your safety matters more than any recital. Get your backpack, pack your tablet, charger, and whatever stuffies you need. Move quietly. I'm going to make a phone call. I stepped into the hallway and called my sister Vanessa. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, what's up? I need you to meet me at your place in 20 minutes. It's Beatrice. I can't explain now, but I'm bringing her to you and I need you to keep her there until I call. Can you do that? Vanessa's voice shifted immediately. She's a social worker. She understood code. Is she hurt? Yes. Physically, yes. How bad? Bad enough that I'm pulling her out right now. Get her here. I'll call my supervisor and we'll start the process. Drive safe. I hung up and went back to Beatrice's room. She had her backpack on, clutching her stuffed elephant ready. We walked downstairs together. Claire was in the kitchen humming along to some jazz station, arranging crackers in a circle. She looked up and smiled. Oh, good. You're dressed. Beatrice, honey, why aren't you in your recital dress? We need to leave in 10 minutes. Change of plans, I said, keeping my voice level. Beatrice and I are going to skip tonight. Claire's smile froze. Excuse me, skip? She's been preparing for 3 months. My parents are already on their way to the school. What are you talking about? Something came up. We need to go. What could possibly come up that's more important than this? Her voice was rising, that edge of anger creeping in that I'd heard more and more over the past year. You're not making sense. We'll talk about it later. No. We'll talk about it now. Beatrice, go get changed. Your father is being ridiculous. Beatrice's hand tightened around mine. I could feel her starting to shake. We're leaving. Claire, the hell you are. She stepped between us and the front door. You're not taking her anywhere until you explain what's going on, and it better be good because you're about to humiliate my entire family. Move or what? You'll do what exactly? She crossed her arms. This is insane. You're acting crazy. Beatrice, tell your father you want to go to your recital. Beatrice looked up at me terrified. I put my hand on her shoulder. Claire, I'm asking you one more time. Move away from the door. I want to know what's going on. Right now, fine, your father has been physically abusing our daughter for 3 months. She showed me the bruises. Wait. Leaving and I'm reporting it, now move. The color drained from Claire's face. For a split second I thought I saw something flicker in her eyes. Recognition maybe, or guilt. That's not. You're misunderstanding, Dad. Wouldn't she told you about it last month, she said. You told her she was exaggerating. Claws. Mouth opened and closed. That's not she was being dramatic. Kids get bruises from playing. Dad's strict, sure, but he's not abusive. You're overreacting. I saw handprint bruises covering her back and ribs from being grabbed repeatedly. That's not playing. Let me see. Reached for Beatrice, but I pulled my daughter behind me. You had your chance to protect her. You chose not to believe her. We're done here. You can't just take her. I'm her mother and I'm her father, and right now I'm the only parent acting like one. I picked Beatrice up even though she was getting big for it and moved Claire aside. She stumbled back more from shock than force. I unlocked the door and we were outside. Before she could react, you come back here right now, Claire was screaming from the doorway. You can't do this. I'll call the police. Go ahead. I'm about to do the same thing. I buckled Beatrice into the backseat of my truck and pulled out of the driveway. In the rearview mirror, I could see Claire standing in the front yard, phone pressed to her ear, yelling into it, probably calling her parents. Dad, I'm scared, Beatrice said quietly. I no, sweetheart, but you're safe now. I promise you're safe. The drive to Vanessa's condo took 18 minutes. She was waiting at the entrance when we pulled up. I carried Beatrice inside while Vanessa grabbed the backpack. Hey, Beatrice, bug, Vanessa said gently. Remember my cat Machi? She's been asking about you. Want to go say hi while I talk to your dad for a minute? Beatrice nodded and disappeared down the hallway. The moment she was out of earshot, Vanessa turned to me. How bad? Multiple bruises in different stages of healing, handprint patterns, her grandfather, wife's father. It's been going on since February during their Saturday visits. While I'm at work, my wife knew. Beatrice told her a month ago. She dismissed it. Vanessa pulled out her phone. Okay. First, I'm calling my contact at Child Protective Services. They'll want to do a forensic interview with Beatrice probably tomorrow. Second, you need to call the police and file a report tonight. Third, you need a lawyer, family law. Immediately. Do you have anyone? No. I'll text you someone. Her name's Patricia Chen. She's handled cases like this. She's expensive, but she's a fighter. Vanessa paused. Are you holding up? Not even close, but I have to. Where's your wife now? At our house. Probably calling her parents. They were supposed to meet at Beatrice's recital. Do you think she'll try to take Beatrice back? I don't know. Maybe. She was furious when we left. Then you need to move fast on the emergency protection order tonight if possible. I nodded, pulling out my own phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial the non-emergency police line. Put me through to someone who listened to my explanation and told me to come down to the station within the hour to file a formal report. Can I leave my daughter with her aunt? I don't want her to have to go through this tonight. That's fine, sir. We'll arrange for the forensic interview separately. Bring any evidence you have, photos, texts, anything. I went to check on Beatrice. She was curled up on Vanessa's couch, petting Machi, her face blank. That emptiness scared me more than tears would have. I have to go talk to some people about what happened. I told her. Aunt Vanessa is going to stay with you. I'll be back in a few hours. Are you going to jail? Her voice was so small. What? No, baby. Why would you think that? Because I told Grandpa. Said if I ever told anyone, you'd get in trouble for not raising me right. He said it would be my fault if the family got split up. I sat down beside her and very carefully put my arm around her shoulders. Listen to me. None of this is your fault, not one single bit. You were so brave to tell me. I'm proud of you, and I'm not going to jails. People who hurt you are the ones who did something wrong, not you, not me. Understand? She nodded, but I could tell she didn't quite believe me yet. At the police station, I spent 2 hours giving my statement to a detective named Officer Morrison. She was in her 40s. Calm and thorough, I showed her the photos I'd taken of Beatrice's back before we left. She studied them without expression, making notes. And your wife's response when you confronted her? She said I was overreacting, that kids get bruises from playing, that her father is strict but not abusive. Did she deny knowledge of the abuse? Not exactly. She tried to reframe it, said my daughter was being dramatic when she'd told her about it previously. That's going to be important for the investigation. We'll need to interview your wife separately, and the grandparents you mentioned, they were supposed to be at a recital tonight. Yes, they're probably at the school right now, wondering where we are. We'll send officers to speak with them. Do you have their address? I gave her the information. She asked me a dozen more questions about Beatrice's behavior over the past few months. I realized with sick horror that there had been signs I'd missed: the bed wedding that started March, the nightmares, the way she'd become clingy every Sunday evening, the night before I drop her off at school, knowing Claire would take her to her parents that weekend while I worked my Saturday hospital shift. I'm respiratory therapist. My schedule is locked in months ahead. Claire knew that. She'd insisted on continuing the Saturday visits with her parents, even when I'd suggested we cut back because Beatrice seemed stressed. Mr. Hendris, I need you to understand something, Officer Morrison said. This is going to get complicated. Your wife may fight you on custody. The grandparents will likely deny everything. Your daughter will have to give detailed statements, possibly testify if it goes to trial. Are you prepared for that? I'll do whatever it takes to keep her safe. Good, because this is going to be a long process. I'm going to recommend an emergency protection order that prevents any unsupervised contact between your daughter and the grandparents, and potentially your wife, until the investigation concludes. You'll need to file for that through family court. The Crown Attorney will decide whether to pursue criminal charges. That's separate from your custody case. By the time I left the station, it was nearly 10:30. My phone had 17 missed calls, 12 from Claire, 3 from a number I recognized as her parents, 2 from our next door neighbor. I listened to one voicemail from Claire. You're being insane. Dad is threatening to call his lawyer. He's furious. I can't believe you'd embarrass us like this over some bruises. Kid, fall down. Kids play rough. You're ruining everything. Call me back right now, or I swear to God. I deleted it and called Vanessa instead. How's Beatrice? She fell asleep about an hour ago. How did it go? Filed the report. They're sending officers to talk to the grandparents tonight. I need to file for an emergency protection order first thing Monday. Patricia Chen texted you. She can see you Monday morning at 8:00. I already confirmed. Thank you. Can Beatrice stay with you tonight? Of course. You need to go home and get some sleep. I don't think I can try anyway. You're no good to her if you fall apart. Vanessa was right, but when I got home at 11:00, the house felt like a crime scene. Claire's car wasn't in the driveway. I checked every room, half expecting to find her waiting to ambush me with more accusations. Instead, I found a note on the kitchen counter. You're destroying this family over nothing. Mom and Dad are devastated. Dad has never laid a hand on Beatrice in anger. She's a child. She doesn't understand the difference between discipline and abuse. You always been too soft on her. If you don't bring her back and apologize to my parents by tomorrow morning, I'm filing for divorce and full custody. This is your last chance. See, I sat down at the kitchen table and put my head in my hands. Some distant part of me recognized I was probably in shock. The adrenaline was wearing off and I was starting to shake. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered anyway. Mr. Hendris, a man's voice, older, angry. This is Roger Campbell. I don't know what kind of lies your daughter has been telling you, but I will not stand for this slander. I have never abused that child. Never. She's a difficult girl. Always has been. Doesn't listen. Doesn't respect her elders. Maybe if you'd raised her properly instead of coddling her, we wouldn't be in this situation. The police came to our house tonight. Our house at our age, the humiliation. You will retract these accusations immediately or I will sue you for defamation. Do you hear me? Stay away from my daughter. How dare you? I have rights. I'm her grandfather. You can't keep her from us. Watch me. I hung up and blocked the number. Then I blocked Claire's parents' other numbers. Then I went upstairs, lay down on my bed fully clothed and stared at the ceiling until my alarm went off at 6:00 a.m. Sunday morning. I picked Beatrice up from Vanessa's. She was quiet in the car. Are we going home? Not yet. We're going to stay at a hotel for a few days while some things get sorted out. Is that okay? Will mom be there? No, honey, it's going to be just us for a bit. Good, she said it so quietly I almost missed it. Monday morning at 8 sharp, I was sitting in Patricia Chen's office. She was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with short black hair and an intense gaze. That made me feel like she could read my entire life story in 30 seconds. Tell me everything, she said. I did. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. Okay, here's where we are. The criminal investigation is separate from your family law case. The Crown will decide whether to charge the grandfather with assault. That could take weeks. In the meantime, we need to move on 3 fronts. 1. Emergency protection order preventing any contact between Beatrice and the grandparents, enforceable immediately. 2. Temporary custody order giving you sole custody pending the outcome of the investigation. 3. We document everything, every bruise, every conversation, every text message. Your wife's response is particularly damaging to her case. The fact that she knew about potential abuse and dismissed it could result in a finding of failure to protect. Will I get full custody? Possibly. Depends on whether your wife changes her position. If she continues to deny or minimize what happened, the court won't look favorably on her. If she acknowledges it and demonstrates she's taking steps to protect Beatrice going forward, she might retain some access. Supervised, but given what you've told me, I'd say you have a strong case for sole custody with her having supervised visits at most. How long will this take? Emergency orders, we can get within days. Full custody hearing could be months, possibly longer if it goes to trial. I won't lie to you, Mr. Hendris. This is going to be expensive and exhausting, but you did the right thing. A lot of parents don't. The emergency protection order came through on Wednesday. By Friday, I had temporary sole custody. Claire was granted supervised visits twice a week, 2 hours each at a neutral location with a social worker present. She didn't show up to the first one. The criminal investigation moved forward. Officer interviewed Beatrice, conducted forensic examinations, spoke with Claire, with the grandparents, with Beatrice's teachers, and Dr. Claire's position hardened. She hired her own lawyer and filed a counter motion for custody, claiming I'd coached Beatrice to lie. Her parents issued a statement through their lawyer, categorically denying all allegations. But then something happened I didn't expect. Beatrice's school counselor came forward. She kept notes from conversations with Beatrice dating back to March, where Beatrice had mentioned being scared of making grandpa mad and getting in trouble for fidgeting. The counselor had flagged it to Claire in April during a parent-teacher meeting. Claire had dismissed it as Beatrice being overdramatic about normal discipline. That changed everything. The counselor's contemporaneous notes corroborated Beatrice's timeline and undermined Claire's claim that this was a sudden fabrication. In June, 3 months after I'd pulled Beatrice out of that house, Roger Campbell was charged with 2 counts of assault. Claire wasn't charged, but Child Protective Services flagged her file with a finding of failure to protect. Her supervised visits were extended to 4 hours twice a week, but she was required to complete a parenting course focused on recognizing and responding to abuse. The preliminary hearing was brutal. Beatrice had to testify with special accommodations. She sat behind a screen so she wouldn't have to look at her grandfather. I sat in the gallery, watching my daughter describe in her small, clear voice what had happened, how he'd grab her by the arms and shake her if she didn't finish her dinner fast enough, how he'd pinch her sides hard enough to leave marks if she spoke. Without being spoken to, how Grandma would hold her wrist and tell her to take her medicine when Grandpa got angry. Roger Campbell's lawyer tried to paint Beatrice as a disobedient child prone to exaggeration. He pointed out that she had no broken bones, no scars, no permanent injuries. Patricia stood up and asked the judge if the defense was seriously arguing that abuse doesn't count unless it leaves permanent damage. The judge agreed with her. Assault is assault regardless of whether it causes lasting physical harm. In September, Roger Campbell pleaded guilty to 2 counts of assault in exchange for a suspended sentence, 3 years probation, and a permanent restraining order preventing any contact with Beatrice. He also had to complete anger management counseling. It wasn't prison, but it was something. More importantly, it was validation. A court had recognized what happened to my daughter was real and wrong. Claire and I settled our custody case out of court. I got primary custody. She got visits that progressed from supervised to unsupervised over the course of a year, conditional on her completing therapy and demonstrating she understood her failure to protect Beatrice. She also agreed to a clause that Beatrice would never be in the presence of her parents, supervised or not. We divorced. In November, it was civil. There wasn't much to fight about. Claire had finally, after months of therapy, acknowledged that she'd been in denial. She'd grown up in that house. Roger had been strict with her too, though she insisted never physically abusive. She'd normalized behaviors that shouldn't be normal. When Beatrice had come to her, she'd reflexively defended her father because admitting he was abusive meant admitting her entire childhood might have been built on something she'd been trained not to recognize. I don't know if I forgive her. Some days I think I might. Eventually, other days I remember Beatrice's face when she lifted her shirt and showed me those bruises, and I feel the anger all over again. Beatrice is doing better now. She's 10, thriving in school, playing soccer, laughing more. She still has nightmares sometimes. She still flinches if someone moves too quickly near her, but she's getting there. We both are. She sees a therapist every other week. I joined a support group for parents of abuse survivors. We have routines now, structures that make her feel safe. She knows she can tell me anything and I'll believe her. She knows I'll protect her even when it's hard. Last month she asked me about that night, why I believed her right away when mom hadn't. Because you're my daughter, I told her, and when your child tells you they're hurt, you listen always, no matter what. She thought about that for a minute. Other kids' parents don't always listen. Unfortunately, no. Some adults think kids make things up or exaggerate or misunderstand, but that's the adults' mistake, not the kids. You told me the truth. I'm glad you trusted me enough to do that. I was scared you'd be mad at me. For what? For ruining everything. The recital, your marriage, Grandma and Grandpa. I pulled her clothes. You didn't ruin anything. The people who hurt you ruined it. You were brave. You saved yourself by speaking up. I'm so proud of you. She hugged me back tight and I thought about all the moments we could have missed if I hadn't listened. All the years of damage that could have accumulated, all the pain she wouldn't have been spared. If you're reading this and you're a parent, I want you to understand something. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable it makes you. It doesn't matter how much you don't want to believe it. It doesn't matter if the accused is family, someone you trust, someone you love. When your child tells you they've been hurt, you believe them first and ask questions later. You protect them first and figure out the details after, because the cost of getting it wrong isn't just your relationships or your comfort, it's your child's safety, their trust, their future. I almost missed it. Beatrice could have kept suffering for years if she hadn't found the courage to text me that day. I think about that sometimes, about the alternate timeline where I dismissed it like Claire did, where I prioritized keeping peace with my in-laws over protecting my daughter. I don't know how I'd live with myself in that version. So I'm grateful she was brave enough to tell me, grateful I listened, grateful we got out before the damage became irreversible. And if you're a kid reading this, or if you know a kid who's Going through something similar, please. Hear this, it's not your fault, ever. An adult hurting you is never your fault, and there are adults out there who will believe you, who will protect you, who will fight for you. It might take finding the right person, but they exist. Don't stop telling until someone listens. Your safety matters more than anyone's comfort. Your truth matters more than anyone's reputation, and you deserve to be protected always. No matter